None? Okay, then we'll hop right into our meeting. Okay. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to review the slides. I believe we all voted that we would present the budget will stand as it is. And be presented on March 2nd to the Board of Finance. So tonight's meeting, we're going to focus on the slides. And so we'll just get right into it. Should we give one to the audience members if we have extra? Sure.
Oh, Mr. Staples is
Thank
taking
you,
care of that.
Staglet.
It was my idea. I just want you to know. All right, Linda gets brownie points.
So the last time we were together, we took notes, we tried to capture the sentiment of the board and create some additional slides to add to the presentation. So the first one is on, and I don't know if these are in the appropriate order, so feel free that if you need to move things, but on page 4, slide 8, there was interest to put something around that Thompson Public Schools is a townwide asset. Talking about, the thriving schools, improved property values, that were the largest town employer. We have 71 employees living in Thompson. And that they're a revenue source to support local businesses. And then district-wide programs help the community thrive. And just kind of putting those programs that bring people out to our school to participate in activities.
How many employees do we have?
We have over 230.
About 230 roughly.
230, doing the math, 71 divided by 230.
All right,
30%.
30%.
30.8.
Sure.
You were off.
I know, I have calibration.
Oh, I can't do math without a calculator.
That was good.
You want me to add that, Kathleen?
It probably would be an interesting number.
Yeah.
3.8.
Anybody agree?
Yeah, I would like to
Robert
see it.
rules of order, the chairman is supposed to remain neutral.
I would like to see the percentage in there,
Okay.
since it's such a healthy percentage.
So in other words, 30.8% of our total employees.
71 in parentheses, 30.8%.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay.
All right, I'm not gonna get silly. Try not to get silly.
All right. Then there was some discussion around, so the next slide, there was some discussion around how the town and the board work together. And there's the shared, obviously the finance director, the human resource director, tech services, municipal and personnel services. I mean, we help each other. The Department of Public Works helps out. The rec department, we help out with them. They help out with us. Custodians and security, and then we have some combined service contracts. So the town and the board continue to identify there's something cost saving efforts. It's supposed to be
Combined service contracts, is that things like insurance?
insurance, healthcare, even the elevator contract, I think, is combined.
The accounting software shared.
You might
Just
want to
wanted-
list those.
You want to
If
list
it'll,
those?
if it'll
Yeah,
fit on
just
the
like
slide.
even in the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, but just the a blurb, just.
Would it also make
And we're
sense? Like,
continuing, and we're going to create a concentrated effort this year. This one's a zinger at Dave Johnson. That we're a concentrated effort on continuing to identify those costs, like for paper, which we don't use and that we don't do, and we really should be doing that.
Going out to bid.
Yeah, well,
Correct.
not necessarily going out to bid, but at least bulk buying.
Oh, we do bulk buying for sure. And
Oh,
we
we
do
do.
get a discount from Mason
Okay.
every year. The thing is that we haven't sent the paper contract out for bid in a while.
Okay.
And the same with custodial services, so we're gonna do both of those.
And do we
Not
combine it with the town?
custodial services, custodial supplies.
Oh, supplies.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
And is that combined with the town?
not right now.
No, not now, but
It should be.
Kathleen, if I might, you may have thought we weren't doing bulk buying, this year, because believe it or not, Eileen does the ordering for paper for the district. The whole district, and we were actually sort of rationed, you could only get 10 cases at a time.
Okay,
So that's why, so she monitors it, it runs a little low, she gets another 10. And then it gets dispersed. Normally, we would get a pallet. But
oh, well,
this
you
time
may
around-
want to bring that up at a Board of Finance meeting too.
Yeah, it was something to do with COVID.
but that's a
But-
supply issue,
Right.
not, we do buy in bulk,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I would appreciate if sometime you could slip that in.
This might be, it's obviously implied, you know what I mean, but I don't, do we want to make it crystal clear that the town and the BOA working together to save
Yeah.
money?
Yeah.
So should we add that or something, or for cost savings or cost
Or
efficient?
cost savings,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we have been, since Amy's been first selectman, we've been making a real effort to work together.
Right,
Oh, that's been 4 years now to cut costs by the town and the school working together.
It is definitely nice that the Board of Education and the Board of Selectmen aren't opposed to each other.
Right.
No, it's a
it
good
makes
working
things so much harder.
Yeah.
We're all the same town.
Yeah, the
It's not a big
past
town.
3.5 years, we've been really working
Yes.
together for both entities to save
Yeah.
costs.
You
But
know,
also, it's not even just about the money. It's a more cooperative spirit.
Well, that's true too, but they're focused on saving.
Yes.
kudos to the first select woman, she includes us, like today we had a conversation with Connecticut Water, they need to go through our driveway to connect something, I don't know the details, but I can get them for you. But they'll be doing the work in the summer, but Amy included us right away because she wanted to make sure that, it's not gonna interfere with summer programs, so she thinks that way.
Mhm.
So I think that's to our benefit, it really
course.
is.
I think it really is, yes.
And you can't quantify that in any kind of number, but it really is a nice way to work. So. And then the next new slide, is the budget history. Bill filled in the mill rate for each year on that last column.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, very good.
So it was 2021 that reassessment went into effect.
Yes,
Yeah, it must have been, yeah. You
So
probably would remember,
I'm pretty sure that's.
yeah. That's gotta be what drove that.
so this 2.45 mil basically would bring us back up in percentage, even less than 2020 as a mill rate.
Mhm.
All right.
But it's not just us, it's the town too. I don't.
Yeah,
know
we have to see
how
what the
much
town
they're
is in that,
Correct.
and I don't know what that number is, we don't know. Have you-
It's we just had a budget meeting last night, so they're still working on it.
So there's nothing else that changed on that chart except the extra column. The next page is Linda's favorite slide. That showed what we get from the state and what we get from, I don't know if grants is the right word, isn't that excess court, is that state aid, state financial aid?
Yes.
Yes, so we, ECS,
ECS grant,
yeah, we'll put ECS.
Well,
in
does that
front of that.
include ID and the IDA grants too?
No,
Federal? Oh, because that isn't included in the budget, that goes
Right.
right out.
right,
Yeah, okay.
what is this?
that's the next slide, though.
What does SEECG stand for?
Special Education Excess Cost Grant.
We're gonna write that
Yeah,
out.
because I don't know what it is and I'm sure
Yeah.
nobody else.
I
will.
think last year's slide says special education, I'm trying to remember from email them back.
Excess cost grant, yep, I'll write that out. And educational course share, isn't that what ECS is? Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, don't put grants, because we don't really count those in the budget. They come when they come, and they're for a specific item.
right, but just showing the pie chart that the 13,000 is really what, 13 million is really what the town
Town.
pays for, and the rest
The
comes from
town
state
share,
and excess costs.
Town share is the 13 million. That goes into the mill rate.
So the next slide, I'm a little jumpy about, and the reason being that I took all the federal grants, I totaled them up. But it also includes the download of the drawdown of the remaining ESSER2 and op funding in that $1.3 million.
Okay.
So I'm just putting it out there that at the end of this year, that number will drop like a rock because the money won't be there.
Okay.
And then grant funds must be expended as required by the funding agencies. So most grants cover teacher and staff salaries that are not included in the BOE budget. So that's where those Title I, Title II, IDEA, a lot of that is covered staffing. There's hardly any money in those grants that we use for anything else.
No golden staplers.
Nothing.
No.
No.
And so this number, this 1.3 is part of that blue pie of your pie chart?
No, it is not part of
Okay.
the blue pie.
Okay,
No, it's additional funding that we get in.
okay,
But in that pie chart, those staff positions that are not covered, that are covered by the grant aren't included in that pie chart.
So next year, if we get no funding, we would be 1.4 in the hole to start.
Well, we'd have to back out the money, and I think it was around, it was 700,000, I think, on your sheet, and then another 132. So if you think about it, around 900,000 would come off there.
And if we wanted.
But
to
that
keep those-
isn't that what Senator Gordon was saying, that that's what they're trying to get funding for, right? Reestablished or no?
No,
that's
that's
special
the
ed.
federal dollars we got for COVID,
But I thought-
ESSER2 and ARP.
Okay.
He also did want
I
to
thought he was-
redistribute federal money more. But that was
For
less-
mandates.
Yeah, but that was less, no, he wanted to distribute state money for mandates because it's their state mandates. But he
Right.
also he said there is federal money in Connecticut that needs to get distributed, but I think that was less the focus,
Yeah, I know. His focus was on the mandate section and then
funding that.
special ed. All right,
Yeah,
so we could have, I know we're looking long here, but we could be 900,000 next year negative.
so no,
No.
some of that is some positions that we have in this current budget. Remember, we're hitting the funding cliff. So after this year, there's those 4 positions that we have to cover in the BOE budget. So that's actually included in FY 24.
Oh.
But the 900,000 or just about that we've drawn down this year is really to cover expenses that we've already committed to.
All right, so let me ask
Is that correct, Bill? Yeah,
let me ask the question a different way. So let's say it's 4 or 5 positions.
yes.
Is there any way that those 4 or 5 positions would qualify for any grant funding, so they are established positions? Otherwise, they're subject to.
Right, so we put those additional positions in when we got the federal money. And we knew we would come to this time
Right.
where we needed the positions. We had no other money to cover it. So we thought, well, for the next 2 or 3 years, we would have those positions and then try to put it in the budget. It just came at a bad time when everything else kind of hit the fan, where inflation and, just fixed costs went way up.
But you're telling me that those positions I'm looking at slide 10. Are only gonna cost us say 209,000.
Right. The rest of that money was expended in tutoring and math lab and the van that hasn't come in, that's been on order for 2 years, the special ed van. So, yeah,
So these are the grants that were this year. They're not, these are not going to be next year's. grant.
correct.
This is getting confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're- if we're-
Next year, I think we don't include this.
Yes,
Yeah.
if we're confused and we more or less know what's going on,
Yeah.
everybody else.
Because everything
Next
in here is
year,
about,
we're expecting
future
grants,
year.
federal grants of X, that's a good number. But this year's grants are gone.
right,
They're gone.
yeah,
Correct.
we like, we don't.
So
Yeah,
can we
so-
get
but
rid
if
of
you're
that? I think so.
expecting.
Yeah, if it's not
What,
applicable
number
to
14?
fiscal
Yes.
year.
Yeah, so if you're expecting whatever we're expecting for next year's grants, which would be the Alliance, which would be the
Well, that's not a
is the
guar-
Title One.
That's not a guarantee yet until.
Well,
Right.
but
Yeah.
we'll
I would-
probably get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be the number I put on this chart.
I would just leave this
I
out.
I think
Alright,
I'd take it
just
out
leave
unless it's a
probably.
guarantee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
People on the Board of Finance are very easily confused.
Yeah.
yeah, so this, I
Not
probably
all,
just.
not all.
5 of the people on the Board of Finance are very easily confused.
But, and that's
Just
why I
leave it
found
for-
this one confusing.
Yeah, so
So
let's not,
I'm okay with taking it out, but I know you wanted to have a cumulative number,
yeah,
but
so this year we received a whole lot of money in grants that aren't gonna be there next.
Right, maybe putting wording that way.
Yeah, maybe put it that way. This year we survived and we survived and achieved budget because we got all this money in grants.
Well,
That are not-
basically, slide 10. That's where we talk about it, the funding for
Right.
a grant funded position.
Well,
So
but
it is
these,
there.
but these are the dollars and but you could put this, move it over the slide 10 maybe. I don't, next to slide 10, but this is why we survived this year.
Yeah.
But we're not going to next year because these grants, most of these grants, $900,000 of these grants go away. I mean, that's a way of presenting it. Yes. Because we have no more ESSER, we have no ARP funds. All right, what do we do with them?
yeah, and I can put Alliance is not guaranteed.
Mhm.
And yes, and you're right, the $200,000 in Alliance is not guaranteed.
So I took a stab at simplifying that special ed slide. Remember you had said we should simplify it. So I just made a statement that they're necessary to support, special education services are necessary to support students and they're required by state and federal regulations. Programs developed as a cost-saving avoidance for out-of-district tuition and transportation expenditures. We put in the Bradley program, so I grabbed, Danielle grabbed the two sections of Chris's slide. And then I just looked at an analysis of the transition program because someone asked that question. What would we spend for the current children that are in the transition program? And then what are we spending now for the program? So that's basically the difference.
So
Think
this is
somehow-
per student?
No, not per student, there's 2 students.
Okay, so this is for, we have 2 students for a total of 215,000 if they were outplaced,
Correct.
and now we're spending 7, 12, 31, 5, 0, 31, 62 is 8. Now we're spending 80,277, so that's a lot of money we save.
Maybe we should put the total.
Yeah.
there.
I'll put the total.
And round that 54 to 54.8, please. And 25.5 is fine.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't like.
I think we should also, maybe we don't put it as a slide, but there should be a talking point where we. And we have to find out what the timeline is. Where we went from 77,000 threshold to now 92,000. Where we're responsible for the funds and then the percentage dropped. Cause I bet you the Board of Finance, most of them do not know that. that it was a double hit, increase
Threshold.
that we're on the hook for, and then the decrease in the funding.
But it's still mandated.
Right,
Yeah.
well, that's
Yeah.
just it, it's a mandate, we don't control it, and that's a huge number, I bet you figured it out.
For the special ed.
Right, I just don't remember what year they increased, or maybe they were doing a little bit every year, I don't know.
They change it every year.
They do change it a little bit every year.
So maybe we can show how this is really, I mean, it's a downhill slide, no matter how you look at it.
We can look back on a few years. I don't know if you want to keep the superintendent's statement in.
I think it gives credibility,
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, your
so.
name's on it,
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
no problem saying it
no
because
harm, no foul, there it is.
I don't know what else to do, to be
Right.
quite frank.
Yeah.
Correct.
So. And then our budget highlights, and then the last question I had. That last slide about student outcomes, did you want to put that in, or did you want to take that out? It just says that we're trailing state averages.
Nah, I don't want to take that out.
Want to take that out?
Yes. Yes,
I do want to go back to 15 real quick. On that high thing with the Bradley program, should we say, you know, on the two pies, costs to the town without the Bradley program, costs to the town with? I don't,
It's right here.
where is it
That's
saying?
something else.
So without Bradley School, Wyndham County, the tuitions would cost 3.3 million. And with the Bradley program, it's 1.3 million.
Yeah, I'm just wondering though, if on the little heading where it says without Bradley School, Wyndham County, on the top there, right?
Cost to town.
Yeah, cost to town without, cost to town with, just so that they're clear as to what the heck.
Cost to
is it?
town, yeah.
So they can realize that the Bradley program has saved them, whatever, 1.9,
A lot of money.
Yeah, got it.
Spell it out to these guys,
Yeah.
everything. Don't leave anything to interpretation.
right.
I've seen them interpret.
Save, cost avoidance or savings or cost avoidance equals. Whatever.
I'll put it simpler.
Yeah.
Programs developed to avoid costs.
So basically, we're paying for tuition right now, what we were paying for transportation before.
Yeah, really.
More or
You know
less.
what? I think we contradict ourselves, though. So those two numbers, if you go to the next page. On slide 18. See the 769,000.
This is a total though, this is an aggregate of several years.
This is just the Bradley. This is only the 13,
is a
14
full-
kids.
yeah.
769, that's all encompassing,
This is a 4-year comparison.
which one?
This-
The,
This year.
2019 to 2023.
Yeah.
Maybe we,
so what is this?
a suggestion,
Program only.
maybe make everything bold or maybe use more colors in the text or something, just to make things stand out a little bit more. I don't know. If my wife was here, she'd be able to elaborate on what I'm thinking, but.
No, but I know what you mean.
Yeah,
It is light there.
yeah,
Yeah, we have to make sure that they know that over 4 years, we have saved the town 2 million
Yeah.
and almost, $2 million by instituting the Bradley.
Right,
And this is a 1-year number.
The 769 is a 1 year.
Yes,
The 769 is
not just Brad.
the increase in tuition and transportation that we need to balance the budget.
But if they ask us what the contracted service is, so that's transportation,
This is. the
No.
increase, though.
No, it's transportation, but contracted services are behavior therapists, RBTs,
okay.
not necessarily nurses. some consultants that come in for some of our students. So
It's a whole different.
it's all specialized services that come in
Okay.
Okay,
to support the kids in the general ed classroom.
okay.
The special ed kids in the general ed classroom.
Yes,
Yes,
which is the least restricted environment for those children.
right.
So, and remember, it avoids out of district tuition costs and transportation.
Yep.
But we have many of those students getting those extra services.
Mhm.
Danielle here. I have a quick question because I'm starting to hear some feedback from townspeople, and there is worry about what this mill increase will look like. And some are saying their taxes are going to go up $150 a month. I think we need to get information out as to what this increase will actually look like to a taxpayer. And we probably should start that sooner than later because it's already happening. And I came home and, or I just got home and my family knows I'm on the Zoom and they had said, did you hear? And I was like, what? And our taxes are going to go up $150 a month. I'm like, what do you mean? So it's already happening. So what can we do to get that accurate information out? Because I can already see this is going to be a major uphill battle.
Well, I mean,
We need to
definitely
tell
that will
them.
be part of our messaging that we'll put together on that handout that we do, the fact sheet. But I mean, we wouldn't really know what the mill rate is until we know what the town is.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
we
it.
could, similar to what we did with the referendum slides,
Right.
we could do the same calculation. For the Board of Ed side.
So when is the town budget gonna be finished?
They're also presenting on March 2nd to the Board of Ed.
So you'll have a number before that.
Yeah, but if it still holds true on Tuesday, they had said they'd be tweaking it on Monday and Tuesday next week, so I don't know if they changed that.
That's still
plan.
expected to happen. It may not be both days, but
Yeah.
that's actually the selectmen getting together,
Will
sharpening their pencil.
will Amy create a slide or will we create a slide once that happens that includes both the town and the BOE?
I think it makes sense that would be part of the
A part of her presentation.
presentation for next Thursday.
Bill, a mill rate's not established until there's a solid grand list.
Right, and we have a very, working estimate on that, at 769 million, so bill is 769,000.
Right.
So you could,
But for people to be saying that what it's gonna cost right now, that's kind of premature because the grand list hasn't been established. So Danielle, make sure people know that that's how the rumors start.
Oh yeah, I did. I let them know that it definitely I was being a fire extinguisher at home. And it was actually a child that had told me. So I was just like, what are you talking about? So and I was confused too, because I'm like, how do we already have a mill rate? Like I was like, what meeting did I miss? Or so I was just very confused, but I'll definitely explain. But with hearing this information, it's already being spoken about. So it's just good information for us to have that we are really going to have to push a lot of accurate information, and proof is in the pudding and proof is in numbers. So I just wanted to pass that along.
I mean that every
And-
every house owner would pay an additional $1,800 of taxes.
No, yeah, Mr. Stiglitz.
No.
So a mill is a tenth of a cent, correct? A thousandth of a dollar,
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars.
so a tenth of a cent.
Yeah.
And the average assessed value is what it's based on, not the average value of your home, the average assessed value.
gotta remember back to
70%.
our slides.
I know, me too. I was
Well,
trying to think what we had. I think it was 155 was the assessment.
25, and then it's 70% of
Yeah,
that.
Right.
Okay.
25. But it goes off of the grand list of what the assets are in the town
Right,
being
which we're
assessed.
using an estimate right now of 769,000, which is up from 750 something, if I remember right. Well, that's-
Bill, that's households, businesses,
Right.
cars, everything that's
That's the
taxable, right?
yeah. Last year is 756.
Right.
56.
So just back to the envelope calculations. If the average value is whatever you said, 225, I came up with 157 for the average assessed value. A 3 mil increase, which us plus the town might be about 3, give or take, ballpark, right? That would be $472 per year. Which is $40 a month, which is $10 a week, give or take.
So
So,
Much
nowhere
cheaper
near
than the-
$150.
yeah, so $40 a month is what it comes down to, which is. It's barely covering inflation, of everything else. You think of how much everything else has gone up per month. I spend more than $40 a month more on gas than I did. A couple years ago, so not that nobody wants to pay more taxes. We all understand that, but the town's got to survive and somebody's got to pay for it, and it's all residential, unfortunately. And that's what it comes down to, and we've got to pay or die.
You heard me say it before, everybody wants a high property assessment.
Yeah.
You want that when you're gonna sell.
When
your
you're gonna
house,
sell.
but You don't wanna pay it during the whole way leading up to selling your house.
Right.
But you're already getting a 30% break because they're only taxing you on
70%
70%.
of your assessed, you're absolutely right.
So. It's. Yeah, and this would not. Be as big of a jump, I'm generalizing the 3% between us and the town, I'm not putting words in. The
Right.
Board of Selectmen's mouth, I'm just ballparking, right? It wouldn't need to be a 3 mil increase if we had done. 3/4 of a mil every year.
Which, there was one comment that I know Jess had made at one of our reviews of this, and I'm wondering if we sneak it in here somewhere, but that was to list the past however many years she had of how much they'd cut from our budget every single year.
Yeah.
That one year was almost $800,000.
Yes, that was.
And I almost feel like whether that happens, in the budget history after slide 12, or
We
whether
could
that's
sneak
one
it
of the
into the
final
budget history.
slides that we kind of make this kind of impactful statement to say, listen, this is what has been chopped from us year after year, and eventually you need to pay the piper,
I second that emotion.
Yes.
Yes.
Jeff, can you send that to me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know you sent it to us before, because if we could sneak it into the budget history. Slide 12, we could add, that, the amount of the budget. And the amount cut and with percentage change from budget year to year and the inflation. We've never come up to inflation, so if we've never met inflation, we're already behind
Every year.
every year.
You want it on the same slide? It's gonna be,
Yeah, I almost think it maybe does a
Might be
separate
its own
slide,
separate.
yeah.
Okay, well,
Just to show that never have we had, I think, a budget passed that hasn't been pre-cut by the Board of Finance.
that's
you know?
true, and let's put it to the people. Let
Right.
them decide, it'll probably it may get shut down, but,
Fine, let the people decide that instead of 6 people that don't seem to understand it,
right.
5 people that don't seem to understand it.
you want to end the presentation with a slide that says that?
I don't know.
I feel like, I don't know.
No, I think we kind of put it in next to slide 12, because we'll be speaking to that. We've never met inflation, and if you don't need inflation, you're already behind. Yeah. This year, we're actually asking to come close to inflation.
And what that cost will actually look like, which is if Matt's math is pretty accurate or close to it, $40 a month will get us caught up to where we should be. I think putting that in a layman's terms too, like we're not looking, I think people are just, as we can see, looking at the bigger number, but they're not looking at it in the actual number. So I think supporting all this great information with this is actually what it'll cost to catch us up to the taxpayer. And I
Kathleen?
think,
Yeah, they've had a great break all for the past 5, 6, 7 years. They've had a break and more than that.
Since I've been going to these meetings, it's been more than, so it's been at least 10 years.
Well, yes, I know, but we don't show that
so-
on this, but
And
yes.
if somewhere in here, or maybe during our presentation verbally, somebody can explain to the, so it's, we're making the presentation to the Board of Finance, but there's townspeople gonna be in attendance
Mhm.
and on the Zoom. Explain what a mill is, and it's 3/10 of a cent. Or a mill is 1/10%. It's of your assessment. It's not the holding the mill rate increase to, well, 0.75, 1 year it was flat, and well, then the year that it went down, and so holding it to less than 1 is holding it to fractions of pennies.
Oh, I know.
And so that
The year.
they
that
use, the Board of Finance seems to use the mill rate as a boogeyman. Oh, we got to keep it less than 1. But they don't, it's just an arbitrary number. So the people need to understand what the mill rate means to them. So on that assessment of 157,000, it's, it's what, $15. Oh, 1 mil. It's $15.
When this is presented, it's separate, Board of Finance, Board of Ed does, and then the town does, and then could there not be a kind of a unified one where we then show them that comparison saying, if these 2 budgets pass, this is the projected mill rate, which would then mean to the average taxpayer, bleh, whatever it is,
Yes, please.
I think that
Yeah, we could do
And I-
that.
at the
It's
very
never been
end, like,
done.
as a
We could
unified
actually do that.
approach,
Why not? Kathleen
dude.
usually, Amy starts or I start, depends on, or Kathleen starts, depends on whose turn it
Right.
is.
Mhm.
We do our thing and then maybe Bill can wrap it up by saying, talk to Amy and ask her if she thinks that's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. The average household would pay an additional X amount per
Right,
year.
'cause if
which
we don't
breaks down
state it,
to
people will start saying
Yeah.
completely
and
different.
quash this
information.
crazy rumor, you're gonna pay $150 a month. I
Right.
mean, I don't know who came up with that crazy number.
Since this is recorded, I would like, and I verbally said $15 a year is $150. a
Right,
year.
right.
So I just want to go on the record for the ether.
Yeah. Okay. The year they had a chance to make up this problem was 2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
They-
I don't
they do
believe
have
that
it,
was a
their percentage.
reassessment. I believe it just happened to be that that was a great building year. And the, pardon me? It was a reassessment, okay, I stand or sit corrected. That they could have made that number up by keeping. Just,
Instead of dropping to 24, maybe 26.
yeah, we could have reached some of that number back without dropping.
Yep.
The mill rate.
This one.
It's an artificial correction.
Yeah.
Kathleen,
Yes.
it's Valentine.
That's found.
A couple of things. So sitting back and just listening to everybody, it's one thing I agree with Danielle. There's so much misinformation out there. And when we actually have that, the presentation, I can tell Bill, I did see on the Town of Thompson website, they did confirm that on the 2nd, they are having that 7:00 presentation. So that's out there for that date. But my thing is, this misinformation is something that, we need to combat, similar to when I suggested the did you know? I think we need to do some regular post on our social media about know the facts, right? And the people that actually come to the auditorium are such a small number. Yeah, you get some on Zoom too, but the numbers that are hitting are going to get you more from social media, the facts, the true facts, than somebody sitting in the audience or somebody just out there arbitrarily throwing out numbers. People listen to these arbitrary numbers, especially the elderly, because that's their means of communication. So we have to somehow figure out a way to get the right information out there. And once the button is pushed to go ahead with whatever this final number is going to be, we got to put out some fact things, just like the girls did for the communication with, did you know? You got to put out the facts, like what you just talked about, how much money, Heather said, we've cut over the last 10 years out of the budget. That I can tell you today's budget from Putnam, they had the same thing. For 10 years, they did this minimal thing, and now it's starting to hit them as well. So it's not just us, but we have to put out information that is factual, that people understand. And the other thing is, I think you get the people out there that also say, I don't have kids in school, so therefore I shouldn't support the school education budget. And we've got to figure out ways to do that in a very smart, productive way, because people have to get what is true information and not what is this one information that follows and it turns into a cancer.
Well, to
That's-
your point too, Val, I mean, I don't know if the town has someone that could do something like this, but it kind of needs to, what I was finding as an issue on social media, especially when it came to, you know, refuting all of these misinformation posts, was that it's coming from me and it's not coming from the town, even though I put the data with, you know, Bill and with Melinda and with Amy, because it's not posted on the town website as know the facts. This is the da-da-da, you know, like if it came from the town website and then got shared around that way, I think it would have significantly more credibility than me posting things and graphics that they automatically, a certain select people automatically assume is tainted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing with that, Heather, is it's very difficult to go on the website of the town and look under news and find no news. You know what I mean?
Right, so that's my.
We have to use the website as a tool, and you don't want people to have to go looking for things. And it's very hard when you've got to find something, like if you want to find out what's going on with the news, you got to search, oh, is it under their bid section? Is it under news, or is it under another category? It's got to be easy for people to see right under their face. I don't know
So-
how we do it, but we got to do it.
So I know on the school website, we just started to use a function that we haven't used before, which is you go to the website and there's a pop-up now.
Banners.
Mhm.
It's a big pop-up and it'll tell you school's closed or whatever. I wonder,
That's great for parents.
Melinda, you're right. I
we-
find
we
that your
are-
user site is much more user friendly now, and there's a lot more people looking at the school site, I think.
town do that too.
We use the same web provider.
No, no. But I don't know if that website can do that, but
What if there was just one page that's a fact check?
Well, I mean, the town of Thompson does have a Facebook page, you know what I mean?
There's
And
a fact check section.
Right, Grace has got, he's right on the tip of his tongue.
Town's website, to my knowledge, is like a government,
it's very basic.
yeah,
it's not
like a
user-friendly.
template that a lot of towns use because it's like a government website company, I believe. It's something along the lines of that. So, versus our website, which is designed.
So even though they have a cookie cutter website, let's just say, is there a way that a cookie cutter website can be hot linked to an external page?
Well, yes,
As
yeah,
a
well, they
fact
do,
check.
because they hot link to meeting minutes and agendas and all.
So
of
maybe
this.
we can have it hot linked to a separate did you know section?
Fact check.
Yeah, fact check.
fact check.
I don't know, it's worth a shot, but
Would that be construed as the town? And
Facts are facts.
well, no,
Yeah.
what I'm saying for a fact check is you put these slides up there, so anybody or any, Joe Schmo doesn't show up to any of the meetings, they can at least go there and say, this is what is sanctioned by all of us. We've endorsed this, we put it out there. Here's your facts. You know what I mean?
The budget would be out there, the school's budget in its entirety would be there.
Right,
The town's budget and its line items would
black
be.
and white, it's
Yeah.
there. I mean, I don't, if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I can follow up with Amy. I'm not sure about
Mm.
the limitations on that side.
So, but if it's a limitation there, maybe it's a hot link to something that we might be able to post.
But like,
You know,
One of the problems with the town site is sometimes they put things on Facebook that they should also be putting on the town news. And remember, not everybody goes on Facebook. So if they're solely using Facebook and not using that government news thing, they're not going to see it at all.
They
And
don't,
I also think you can't cloud, it's got to be very precise, because people don't like to read a lot of jargon. They want to look at it and say, oh, that fact says my mill rate, if it went up, would go and equate to this.
yeah, so you need to encapsulate stuff.
It's almost like Thompson, Town of Thompson, did you know?
I know,
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm
That's-
saying,
yeah,
like the.
that's-
Yeah.
And have these be Town of Thompson little things, you know?
But you can have two buckets in there, though, education and municipality. You know,
Yeah.
or it's combined. I don't care how you do it.
Is
I
the,
just think there's too much misinformation and we
Yeah.
constantly fight it.
I know.
is the town web master the same person as the school webmaster? No, I didn't think so. Okay,
That'd be too easy.
There,
As far as I know, Marie does the majority of the edits, but I believe some of like the department heads or department members have access to their own websites. Like I was working with Jan, I think the last name is Smith, the animal control officer. So like I can do her individual webpage on that website, but there's like different levels of it.
right.
I think Marie does some, Renee does some, and the town animal control person does some. It's like some shared duties. That's how I've envisioned it.
Who does all of ours?
All of ours is
And
pretty
that-
much us in the tech department.
yeah, Danette does most of it.
That the one page thing that, you know, that we're gonna put together again. That is the informational thing. I mean. It's all facts, you know, that handout is a factual handout that is vetted by all of the stakeholders, you know. And as long as it doesn't say vote yes.
Right.
It's a fact handout that could for sure be posted on the town website, you know.
Some
And
people
Facebook
disagree with you, but that's okay.
Really. And I mean,
There are plenty of people that disagree with that.
It just talked about polling places and then it
Yeah,
spoke about
I know.
the highlights and then what the mill rate increase and the impact to the average homeowners. I mean, there's no reason we couldn't potentially use the same handout if it doesn't say vote yes on it.
Agree. I
And
agree.
then at least it'll be on the town's sanctioned and put out by the town as a town piece of information.
Is there any way, like, if you have that, that we could get some like over at the library where the seniors come in to eat?
Yeah, I mean, when we made the handout, I put it on the bulletin board at the library. You know, on the community board.
I think you're meeting on the Friday lunches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So that they could carry.
make a little
One home. with them.
Even if
Yeah,
it's-
we love
flyer
to stack.
stand.
We love to
Okay,
stack.
yeah.
When
Oh,
the tape
Okay, yeah.
and the librarian
Right. Okay,
was dealing with it, you
Yeah.
know,
There's a
But-
menu, put it in the menu.
yeah, right,
yeah,
but yeah, so I mean, maybe that's food for thought to at least get baby steps into getting something on the town website that kind of is more.
Yep.
Factual information out there, I don't know.
because I'm just thinking that there's a lot of seniors that they don't have cell phones, they don't go on the internet.
Right,
How do you get it out to them?
Right. Yeah,
That's why I figured it, then handout, at least if we could get it there, you know,
yep,
then they could get on their landlines and talk to each other,
that's right.
you know, with the information.
I just want to go on record saying, I do understand, and respect people on a fixed income, your social security goes up
Oh, yeah.
X percent per year. I don't know, it's a small percent per year. I understand that, totally understand that, and but doesn't change the fact that the town and the school have to pay bills.
Oh, I agree too, but if we had gone up a little bit each year, they
wouldn't be a
wouldn't
squeeze.
they wouldn't be whacked this
Right.
year.
I
So
mean-
it's the Board of Finance's fault.
It is.
I mean, isn't it a fact, like if you don't have a school in your town, that your property isn't worth as much?
Well, you have to have,
Yeah.
you have to have a
it doesn't
school.
say vote.
No, but I mean, like, I guess you don't have to, but yeah, if you don't support, all right, let's say you don't support the school and we don't get accredited and everything.
Well, if your school, you go on Zillow and they rate schools,
So it's not coming. from
right?
the citizen.
And if your school, what I meant to say last time at the last meeting is our school is rated less than other schools in this area, which brings your property value down.
Because
Yeah,
family
I-
people don't want to move in if they're not gonna get a good
So if your
education. for
school
their
has like
children.
a C or a below C minus rating and the next town over has a B,
You go into the other town.
you go to the other town and their houses are up the same house that you live in the next town is probably worth $100,000 more than yours. is.
Yeah, your property values will go down. There's
Yeah.
no way it's
Well,
not going.
And the biggest asset
You
that
never-
you likely own is your house.
And you'll never attract growth to your town.
No, businesses
don't
will
have-
not come.
No,
No.
They won't, because they're gonna say, how can we get employees and you don't even have a decent school,
Correct.
right.
you know, and that's
It's
what they.
And I
want,
say
business.
this year after
vicious cycle.
year after year to the Board of Finance. And it goes in one ear and out the other. So,
To 5 of them.
but it's okay, it's true,
I know.
it's true. We have no
Okay,
services
that's
to
what-
offer in town. We have a Dunkin' Donuts finally.
Yeah, it's Dollar General.
Well, that's a draw, you know. We have Dollar General.
We, the other thing I hope. And I don't know where the 9 o'clock stop comes with the Board of Finance. It is so important that we work through a budget and it's like 5 of 9, 9 o'clock, okay, we gotta go. Work your budget.
That's the Aaron. thing.
I
Aaron
know.
thing. It never
Well,
used to be. They
but
used to
it's-
continue to at least 10 or so.
Right, and then the other thing, like I said before, they spend hours and hours over a line item for $1,000 when you've got the biggest asset in this town
Falling apart.
falling apart and we get whatever timeline. And I know that because they can't control every line. Well, technically they can if they came to the meetings.
Well, they could
We could
understand,
work together
yes,
and for understanding. You're absolutely right.
right. They could understand why we need this money.
Correct.
And that you just can't arbitrarily say, well, I gotta get the mill rate to half a mill.
Who says you have to? Right?
But that's their mindset.
Correct. But that's what
They
we
go
need.
in with a preconceived number. Not all, but some go in
Yeah.
with a preconceived number that they have to set the mill at half because they've been talking to people around town. What, 3 guys they ran into down at wherever,
LBs.
Milltown or LBs, I'm sorry, LBs. And that's the number they have to go for. And they play all these little number games.
But maybe like the survey will, if we have numbers and feedback, will help them understand
I
that the
mean-
3 people they're talking to that said. Hold
I
the
know
mill rate at a certain
there's
thing,
a
we are-
senior discount for taxes if you make below a certain amount of money, so they get a break there. I don't think we qualify for it, but
Amy plans on announcing the survey on March 2nd when she does her presentation.
okay.
And then we'll throw it out on all our
outlets.
portals.
Yeah, right.
And then I think something's going in the shopper's guide. And then she's gonna push it out through her, whatever.
Yeah,
great.
PR. But, we're hoping that, she's hoping to get some good information from the public.
Are both budgets being presented March 2nd, or is it only the?
Yeah, like we always do.
Well, I thought, oh, wait, that's right. When we go to the next round, then the municipality goes or we go, it's alternates, right, every year? When you do your full budget,
No,
remember we used to flip flop?
For the
yeah,
town
so
Meeting, I think they just flip flop, who's gonna go first?
Yeah, it's
that.
yeah, it's the same
flip-flops.
meeting, but they take turns who presents first.
But at the Board of Finance, it's by department, and then we're considered, I guess, like a department, and usually they let us, the last couple of years, they've let us know what date they'll be
That's what it-
reviewing the Board of Ed budget. And then we rally the troops, right, to come to that. And then what happens is that the actual reduction of the budget doesn't happen until subsequent meetings after they've reviewed everything. Isn't that right, Steve? Yeah.
Happens when we all. go home.
Yeah, so you actually have to go to every meeting, after they reviewed our budget, yeah.
Right.
Every,
So when you're not there,
they do that quarterback sneak.
and the round.
But I think it's a good idea about the, the whole explanation of the mill rate after both presentations are made. I think that would be a good thing to capture. Bryce, you'll be there that night. Can you record that whole meeting for us
On the second?
on the second?
Yeah.
Okay, because will it be a Zoom meeting or is it a
Hybrid?
hybrid?
It's a Board of Finance meeting, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
They agreed
voted.
to, continue.
where is it gonna be though?
The auditorium.
Okay, we can do, we can do Zoom from the auditorium.
So you can record that Zoom and then we can have the link on our website and on the town's website.
Yeah, and we can say what the average house and the impact to the average household would be if this budget passed in its entirety. So we'll get rid of that $150 a month.
Yeah.
Rover.
Right.
Yep.
Danielle can help you make a nice graphic.
Oh, you come in so handy.
Sure.
Okay, and I did forget to mention that we, that we have lost 2 members of, our Turtle family. Justin Portis has passed, and, the other one you just posted, Pedersen. Bob Pedersen. Bob Pedersen, class of 67.
Yeah.
So, we finished discussing this, we could have a moment of silence for them. Okay. We all set with the discussion on the, on these. I think the slides are great, with the, with just a little bit of updating.
Yeah.
And, then you'll send it to us,
Send it to all of you for review.
final review.
We'll try to get that pumped out by Monday.
Okay. At this point, any citizens' comments, Mr. Citizen?
Really?
Yeah, what else you got?
Page 5, I've got to go through the presentation, couple lines, page 5, slide 10. No, just a little thing that, little bugaboo that I have is, if you put some numbers in the thousands, like 769,000. It seems strange to have the next one, to the $10 level. Yeah, so if you just.
Yeah.
Just, again, just a little bugaboo that I have, but,
Yep.
Right, round up that number. I'm just thinking that, for me, I'm used to sort of.
Yep. You're dealing in large numbers.
Yep.
Pick a significant
Same
digit.
thing on,
Not a big thing, just my little.
on this graph here,
On
rounded to 200.
Well, I wonder if it might be helpful to. these
206,
annual percentage rates,
206.
might say over the last 5
206,
years, or
200.
whatever, the 6 years, whatever it is.
I see what
And
you're
then
saying.
The average should be X or Y.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
On slide 12,
Yes,
we have the annual percent change for both inflation and the budget. I wonder if it might be helpful to, over the 5-year period or 6-year period, it's changed on average X, Y.
Just give an
As opposed
aggregate.
to- Well, maybe show this as well, but just to summarize what all this is, it's a lot of numbers, you're going quickly through this presentation. Maybe over the last 6 years, the average school budget's gone up 1.3%, and the average inflation's been 2.8% or whatever the number is. I don't know.
Yep.
I might make it maybe a little more useful, I'm not sure. Set that together, 5%.
Yes.
On the next page, I got a little, again, a little bit on the same number issue. You've got grants at down to $704.
Yeah.
But it's 400,000 for the SCG. Again,
Oh,
I
I
would just-
think we're getting rid of that.
yeah.
No, the top.
And not that the number 704 is not right, I'm sure it's right, but just. I get a little confused, the federal grant on slide 14, it says 1,391,000. I don't understand, and I think you talked about it,
That's what
how
we're getting
how it
rid of.
relates to the slide before that, the 7,534,000.
Are we gonna get rid of that
This-
slide?
we were gonna get-
Okay,
That's fine.
Yeah, it's all confusing for all of us.
Okay. On the next page, slide 15. I think, I'm not sure I understand, is the 3,360,000 the total of that pie, or is it just the blue portion of that pie?
It's what we would pay for tuition over a 4-year period if we did not have the Bradley program on site.
So it's the blue portion only.
Correct.
The total for the Bradley program would have been 4.7 million or 4.5 million. Yeah, is that from my understanding?
Right, transportation plus tuition.
Right, you add the two together to get the total, okay.
Correct.
I can't say what the superintendent should say. It's slide number 15. But it almost begs, the last sentence almost begs a question of, it says to maintain the current services and programs. Is that sufficient? Adequate? Way more than you ought to have? Not enough? That's sort of the, forgive me for asking that, it's your words, not mine, but it just.
Yeah, well, basically, when I wrote this, it was prior to us adding the board adding back the math interventionist and the behavior support at the high school. So it would provide additional supports in those two areas. So I could revise that to reflect that.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, this budget provides the current level of services. Might the next question be, well, why don't you lower the services you provide?
Maintaining the bare
Yeah.
minimum, so maintaining our bare minimum.
Maintain there, yeah.
And it's your words, so
Yes.
forgive me for trying to change them.
What I'm trying to say to everyone is, there's no place
it.
else to
I
cut, folks.
Yeah, my. Just a little concern on the comments about getting the word out, and I agree with what I was saying. But just be careful that it isn't viewed as being biased.
Yeah,
Went through a recent meeting where, what I would have considered just informational, information was being considered to be very biased, so, just, gotta be careful. You know the rules better than I do, but, yeah, I want to be very careful.
Yeah.
But
I think that's what I was
Thank
trying
you.
to say. Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts.
So one question regarding that. We're within our limits, right? As long as we are putting the facts. We're not saying or telling anybody how to vote. We only tell them when to vote. But other than us, I mean, I can see how it could be construed as being biased, but we're being biased because we're endorsing it and we've created it, correct? You see, I mean, there is a little bit of a fine line.
so,
I mean, because if we're not gonna, if we're not gonna be biased, yeah, I want you to vote for this, but I'm not gonna tell you that.
Yeah.
You make up your own mind, but.
Yeah, here's.
Will you support this? But, yeah, again, I don't know what the rules are.
Unfortunately.
I know you want to
semantics-
support it, but I know that some people view that as being
Right, but it's,
biased.
it's more of a,
If I didn't pay for it.
it's more of semantics when it gets down to that.
I disagree with you.
I mean, anything can be biased and.
There's still signs out there when you come out of the transfer station saying to vote yes to stop the neglect. And basically that would mean for the budget, so.
So,
is
yeah, but
being
are we in
said, but, yeah.
violation with those signs still being up? That's another question.
I don't know. Nobody's complained,
I don't know,
nobody's complained about them yet.
right?
But they did complain about a town employee handing out the fact sheet for the referendum,
Why?
because it was a town employee handing it out at the transfer station.
Are you serious?
But if it's a fact sheet, it's not telling them how to vote.
But it got voted down.
Well,
Some people have too much time on their hands in this town.
Yes,
oh,
They should be putting it towards constructive and
well, anyway,
whatever.
that's
Get off that
not
box.
the scope of this meeting, but it is partially, so we do have to be careful. Okay, any other citizens' comment? From the Zoom audience, any citizens' comments? Thinking in the chat. Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make